Hello guys, welcome to Everything Metallurgy and welcome to part 4 of GateMT 2021 memory based question solving. So I hope this series is helping you a lot. So if you like it, please hit the like button and also share with all the Gate Metallurgy aspirants. We are near to 5,000 subscribers. Please do hit the subscribe button and also turn on the notification bell so that you won't miss any new videos that we are putting out. So interesting content coming in the upcoming year. So please stay tuned. So now coming back. The first question in this part. So basically, let's see an important question from heat transfer, and a beautiful question, I would say. So here we have some wall, something like this. We have 3 walls where you have K is equal to 2 here and K equal to 1. Yeah, again I'm not writing all the units here. So this is K equal to 2 and this is K equal to 1. You have temperature profiles here. So this is 1 meter and this is 1 meter if I'm not wrong. Okay. Now, so this here is 1000 Kelvin. This here is 800 Kelvin. And again you have the some profile like this from 600 Kelvin to T1. Okay. And also here if you see there is some temperature drop at the interface also. So the question is asking you to calculate T1 and the RTH or RTH of the interface, thermal resistance of the interface that you have, this blue guy which I kept here. So this can be directly done using the Fourier's law. So what is a Fourier's law? Fourier's law is actually telling me that Q or Q by A rather, heat flux is equal to minus K dt by dx. Okay, again if you are dealing with the temperature correctly, then no need to take this negative sign also. But if you carefully see here, we have 3 different parts. Okay, so this is the first one, the interface is the second one, and the K2, let me take this K1 and K2, K2 is the third one. So here if you see, all these 3 are connected in series. So therefore Q12 is equal to Q interface is equal to Q23. So the heat flux is same. So for the first one you can easily calculate the heat flux. So Q is equal to K is how much? 2 into dt. dt here is 1000 minus 800 divided by x. What is x here? 1. Okay, dx is 1. So this is 1000 minus 800 is 200 into 2. So therefore Q is coming out to be 400. Okay, again watt or watt per meter square, whatever. Okay, I'm not bothered about the units as of now. Okay, let's see how to do it. Now if this is the case, the same Q will be there for the other thing also. So how to calculate it? So 400 is equal to, for the second case, okay, that means 600 to T1. This case is what I am considering now. This is equal to, what is K2? 1 into temperature is 600 minus T1 divided by, what is this? Length is 1. So from here directly you can get T1 is how much? 200 Kelvin. Just you have to know that it is in series, and you can easily calculate T1 from this by taking the second scenario, second condition. Now the same thing can be done for the interface also. But if you see from here, you can see that, okay, you can see that what you can write this or rewrite this is Q is equal to dt by RTH. This is what you can write. From here RTH is equal to how much? RTH is equal to dt by Q. Q is again same 400. That means dt here is how much? 800 minus 600, 200 divided by Q is again 400. That means you have 200 by 400, which is 0.5. So the answer here would be 200 Kelvin for T1 and 0.5 as the thermal resistance. So this is the question for heat transfer. Now coming to the next question, which is again an easy question based on Turnbull's equation. So they gave about copper, that they gave the delta H value is about 13400 joules, and the temperature, melting temperature or the equilibrium temperature is 1358 Kelvin, and you have the undercooling or the temperature to which the copper is cooled. Okay, the cool temperature is given as 1058 Kelvin. So from here you can get to see that the delta T undercooling is how much? 1358 minus 1058. So this is 300 Kelvin. And we know that Turnbull equation can easily calculate the Gibbs free energy, and that is what we need to calculate. So delta G is equal to delta H into delta T by T equilibrium. So direct equation and you get the answer. So delta G is equal to 13400 into delta T is 300 divided by what is the equilibrium temperature? It is 1358. Okay, so let's calculate how much you are getting in. 13400 into 300 divided by 1358. So delta G would be 2960.23 joules per mole per. Yeah, that's it. So this is another easy question which we got using direct formula from Turnbull's equation. Okay. Now let's see some easy maths questions. So we got something based on divergence formula. So the question was, if we have a vector field and each of the components Vx, Vz, Vy and Vz are all functions of x, y and z, what will be the divergence? So whatever is the function or whatever is the vector is, always remember that the divergence is simple, that is dou by dou x of the x component plus dou by dou y into the y component and dou by dou x and z into the z component. That's it. So this is the option. So they gave various other things to confuse you, but the divergence is this. Okay, how did we get it? Just using the dot product with the vector and dou by dou x into I plus dou by dou y into j plus dou by dou z into k. The same formula you use for gradient, but gradients are actually giving you a vector from a scalar field, but divergence is forming a scalar quantity from a vector field. Okay, so this is one basic difference that you need to remember. The next important question, and again an easy question from probability. So you have 3 coins, okay, and they gave that the number of heads, okay, the number of heads are greater than number of tails. Okay, so 3 coins they are actually tossing with, and if the number of heads are greater than the number of tails, they asked what is the probability to get exactly one tail. Okay, so this is like a dependent event. So already you know that the number of heads should be greater than the number of tails. In that case, what is the probability to get exactly one tail? So this is pretty much easy. So let's see how what are the scenario, what are the different permutations that you can get from 3 coins. So you may get all 3 heads, you may get all 3 tails, you may get 2 heads and 1 tail. But again, this can also be rotating. The tail may be a 3rd time, or the tail may be the 1st time, or the tail may be the 2nd time. Similarly, you have 2 tails. Okay, so in this case also the heads may be on the 1st, or the heads may be in the 2nd, or the heads may be in the 3rd. There is any other possibility when you are actually tossing 3 coins at a time or 3 coins? No, only 8 cases you have here. But again, there is a trap. What is the trap here? They gave that the number of heads should be greater than number of tails. So here, let's see in what cases we have number of heads greater than number of tails. This is the case, this is the case, this one, that's it. In all the other cases, if you see, you are actually not following these conditions that the number of heads are greater than number of tail. Why? So here you see all 3 are tails, so it's gone. Here you see 1 had 2 tails, gone. That's the case with the other 2 also. So basically these are the 4 cases that you got. Okay, 4 cases that you got. But in this, what is the probability to get exactly one tail? So out of these 4 cases, how many cases are actually giving you one tail? So here one tail, here one tail, and here one tail. So out of 4 cases, 3 cases are with exactly one tail, right? That's what it is. So the probability is 3 by 4 or 0.75. So this is a very easy question and a tricky question. So usually people will overlook at this condition and they just write 3 by 8 or something, okay, but which is a wrong thing. Okay, so this is the way to go about this question. And the last question for this part is from numerical techniques, where we have Newton-Raphson method. Okay, we have Newton-Raphson method. So what was the question? They gave, again there was a trap here also, they gave f of x to be x minus cos x. Okay, so many of students, they in hurry, what they do, okay, they'll take f of x as x minus cos x and proceed. No, but the next line is telling you to estimate square root of f of x using this Newton-Raphson method. Okay, so what is that you need to estimate? Root of f of x. So your function y will be what? Root of x minus cos x. So you have to perform Newton-Raphson method using this, and they gave starting value of x to be 0.5. So what is Newton-Raphson method? x1 is equal to x naught minus f of x naught by f dash of x naught. That's it. So here again, this must be your f of x. So take this value, put 0.5 and just solve this and you get your answer. So again, what would be your f dash? So f dash of x will be 1 by 2 root 0.5 minus cos 0.5 into 1 minus sin 0.5. Again, I directly put in the 0.5 value, and f of x naught is just this, root 0.5 minus cos 0.5. So just use these two, put in here and you get x1 value. And again, this is an important thing, that the question should be well read. If you just hurry up by just looking at the first sentence, then you are trapped. Okay, carefully study all the questions and then you can proceed. So yeah, that's it for this part. So I hope this series is helpful. So if you like it, please hit the like button and also share with all the GATE Metallurgy aspirants who already wrote GATE 2021 and are about to write 22, so that they get the analysis of the questions that were asked. So that's it from my side. Thank you. We'll meet you again in the next video.